What is up, guys? Welcome back to the Crew 2. And in this video, I'm going to take a look at the Proto Concept Glow Motorsport. This is probably going to be one of the most unique looking Alpha GP cars in the Crew 2. I would definitely say it's going to look pretty insane for that matter. Like, look at the back end of this thing with those exhausts. I also do love the way the wing looks on it, plus the overall like color design. Plus all that carbon fiber really does make this car look honestly insane. If you guys do want to buy this car though, it's going to set you back around 560,000 bucks, which is actually going to make it slightly cheaper than the Pulse Performance, but I have a feeling that's going to be for good reasoning. But nonetheless, guys, this car is definitely going to look pretty insane, and similar to the Pulse, you can also change the rims, but honestly, who actually wants to put rims like that on an F1 car? I really do not see a point of doing that. And then you can also do some vanity items like tires and or smokes and nitros and all that good stuff. So at least you can change some things around. I really do like the way these new cars actually look though. Like the design of these is honestly pretty insane. I would like to know what you guys think about these in the comments below. Do you guys prefer like the Red Bull RB14, or would you rather have something like this? I would say a lot of players are most likely going to pick the Red Bull. I still really like the way this car looks overall, but nonetheless, guys, let's go do an outside look of this vehicle right now and also take this thing on a quick top speed test. So moving over to the outside look of the Glow Motorsport, guys, the first thing I honestly noticed about this car is how big this thing is. I actually think it's going to be the size of a small boat. It also barely fits on the screen as well, which is kind of funny. So the camera's definitely struggling. Overall, though, I really do like the lines of this car and the way that it is designed. I also really like that wing on the back as well, plus the carbon fiber basically all over the place. Really does bring a lot of detail out of this vehicle. I also like those rims. I would really love to customize rims, but hopefully we see that in Motorfest. One thing I also noticed, guys, similar to the Alpha Mark II, is this car is also going to redline at around 18,000 RPM, which is honestly kind of insane. Not only that though, it's also going to have a pretty incredible engine sound. And then moving over to the cockpit view is probably going to look exactly how you guys would expect it to. One thing I do like though is the fact that all the buttons have a lot of detail. It's almost like they didn't actually rush how this thing does look. One thing I did notice though, similar to the Pulse Performance, the RPM reader on the actual steering wheel that you would see on a lot of race cars. This can also be seen on the 488 Pista, is unfortunately not going to work, but overall though I do think it does look pretty awesome. Luckily, guys, in the F1 cars you can also see everything pretty easily, and my goodness, those tires are absolutely huge. But besides all that, guys, let's see what this Glow Motorsport can actually get to for a top speed. I have been noticing these new cars tend to have a higher top speed than the regular Alpha GP vehicles, which is definitely going to make some of the bigger events kind of interesting, but also making these cars a lot more useful on escapes as well. So this thing's also only going to have 7 gears, and I did mention before it does redline to around what the Alpha Mark II does, so that's definitely going to be kind of interesting. But with Nitro Chemist though, so 319 miles per hour to 320, so it does look like the top speed of this car is going to be basically the exact same as the Pulse Performance. So it turns out the Glow Motorsport is going to have a pretty high top speed, basically making this thing 20 miles per hour faster than the other ones. But to be honest, guys, is that top speed actually going to make this car better? So the Concept Glow Motorsport is going to be one of those new Alpha GP cars a lot of players are most likely not going to use. The main reason why I say this, guys, is due to the fact that the way this thing does handle. I'm honestly not the biggest fan of this car from the testing I have done. Don't get me wrong though, the car is obviously going to be insanely fast. It does get well over 300 miles per hour. Of course, with a Nitro Chemist set it can at least do that, but even though this car does have a high top speed, I do have a feeling that higher top speed is honestly not going to make it that insanely good, at least compared to some of the others. Like for example, guys, would I actually pick the Glow Motorsport over like the Alpha Mark II? And to be honest, from the testing I have done, I'm gonna have to say no on that. I would probably say the handling alone on the Mark II and or the stability is just going to be miles ahead better than the Glow Motorsport. And of course this car does do like 320. I really don't think that extra 20 miles per hour is really going to make this car that insanely good. I did find this thing to be pretty dang good with the handling after I actually adjusted it, but even then I was still not the biggest fan of the way this car did feel going around corners, as sometimes it also feels a bit twitchy and or kind of wonky as well, which I do know some people were also talking about with the Glow Motorsport, so I would probably say this car isn't going to be like the best option to actually buy, even though you can get this car for like 560,000 bucks, which is probably going to be kind of cheap, at least compared to something like a hypercar. But I do have a feeling a lot of players are most likely going to look at some of the other ones like the Red Bull RB14 and or something like the Alpha Mark II, which has basically the exact same engine as this one, at least very similar to the way they accelerate and or shift as well. I would probably say the Mark II is most likely going to stay as like the quote-unquote meta in this class for a while. I really don't think the Glow Motorsport is going to take it over, but the overall design of this car does honestly look pretty cool. I do like the way this car does look. I would still say though, having like good looks and or a lot of top speed, the car has to be able to handle at the same time as well, or you're most likely going to be struggling in many areas, especially on the new tracks. A lot of the turns in those are also going to be kind of tight, and you can also hit the booster, so you'll be going faster. The Concept Glow Motorsport is definitely going to have some flaws to it, especially when it comes to its handling. I would probably say a lot of players are most likely not going to like the way this car turns, even compared to something like the RB14 and or the Mark II. I would definitely pick either one of those cars over this one for even the new events as well, which I would say is kind of disappointing, but at least on some of the regular racetracks, I do find this car to be pretty dang fun for the most part, even though it's not going to be the best thing. At least you can still use this car in events if you guys did want to grind out money and or followers, and or go after some new parts as well in this class, and I would probably say you could probably pick some other cars for that as well, but at least you can experiment with some of these cars like the Motorsport here. I would like to know what you guys think about this car in the comments below, and here are my pro settings for the new Proto Concept.